Hey guys, my name is Jailphone and you're listening to Local Vibes.
Thank you so much for joining us, Jailphone. How are you feeling?
I'm feeling blessed.
Good. So tell us more about what you just performed.
What I just performed was something expressionary. How about that?
hmm So these two songs, I believe this is a freestyle. And then what was the other one that you performed?
Yeah, so I did Game Plot, talking about consciousness and the structure of society, and then I did Who TF is Jailphone.
Mhm.
And that's just questioning me and my different phases of myself that we all go through.
Yeah. So I wanted to learn more about your creative process, as an artist, and what goes into creating lyrics, that not only connect with you and reflect your life, but also that resonate with listeners as well. How do you incorporate your life experiences into your songs?
I love that question. Energy in motion. I always like to say that. So your emotion is your energy in motion. So instead of just dwelling in your thoughts, I kind of just puke it out onto, my note app in my phone or on a piece of paper. And eventually it kind of comes to something when you find a beat and they just merge together. Easier said than done sometimes, but it's a lot of just built up emotion that gets spewed out into something.
Yeah. Are there any other topics that you particularly like writing more about?
I love writing about things of consciousness and just structures in general of society because it's always interesting and we can all relate to it. I would love to get into more things of just personal emotion, like on the deep down dark stuff that you just don't talk about as much. Like
Mhm.
you bottle it up inside. Working on that,
Yeah.
you know,
That's definitely a very vulnerable position to be in,
for
especially
sure.
when you're sharing music. So how is that like to, first start, writing about such a vulnerable topic?
Mm. For starters, kind of the thing that pushed me over the edge a little bit was just artists that I listen to personally. I mean, different people of different genres, and you can see them expressing things, and it kind of makes you feel something when you're listening to the song. And then you realize they're a person like me, and I can do it. Why not try it? And that's
Mhm.
kind of where I got with that.
Yeah. And your music has a very moody, R&B style that is reminiscent of many contemporary artists today. So how do you keep your music authentic and fresh, in today's music landscape?
Whoa, that's a solid question. How to keep your music fresh? I mean, if your emotion is genuine and authentic, dang, how do you answer that without repeating what you just said? I'll need more time with that one.
No, yeah, for sure. We can come back to that one. And we'll keep
Okay,
going,
let's.
as a just looking on your pages, listening to your music, seeing all that you do, you are a multimedia artist that, who moves fluidly across music, painting, fashion, and dance. So how do these different mediums influence one another in your creative process?
Mm. Sometimes when I'm making a song, I can visually see either the music video or the vibe overall. Like sometimes I'll listen to a song and be like, this song, if it was a color, it would be blah, blah, blah. And that's kind of where the vibes come from. And then if you can transmute that into different elements, so to say, sounding like an alchemist a little bit. And I mean, that's the kind of the way that I merge all of the things together. Because when you listen to music, you dance. That easily goes into each other. Something like that.
Yeah. How did this all start? When did you find out you wanted to do all of these things, and even at once too? So,
Oof. At once. I don't know why I do them at once. I don't recommend doing a million passions at once. It gets confusing. But the way that I started was actually a huge influence from X. And I have this tree tat, if you can see it, on my chest. And it's creation and evolution. If I were to just sit here and just bottle everything in, I mean, everyone has the same emotions as I do, more or less. So it's it might as well share that, and maybe you can inspire other people along the way with your emotions.
hmm so you briefly touched on how other artists being able to dive more into their emotions, like XXX, Tentacion, and how that brought you to talk about your own emotions in this art. So what were some other artists in addition to X that you really resonated with?
Oh, So many. I mean, Erykah Badu is definitely up there. Legend. We all know that. Mac, for sure. Mac Miller. Along with X, there's Ski Mask. I mean, he just has a different type of flow that every time you listen to a song, you're like, wait, how did he say that? And I'd love to not incorporate that, but get inspiration from those sources. Billie Eilish is a huge one, too.
Mm-hmm. How would you describe your own flow?
How would I describe my flow? My flow is something of a ribbon. Stick with me with that one.
Mm-hmm.
A ribbon can be all like this and smooth in the same string.
Mm-hmm.
Switching up the flow is a big thing that keeps not only you like entertained, but it keeps you kind of like on your feet, like what are you gonna do next, type of a thing, instead of keeping the same throughout the song. Yeah. If that answers the question.
No, that is a great answer, and I really like how you envisioned, somebody dancing when you're creating music. How that would look like, in person. And you're not only recognized for your music, but also your fashion. You're also a designer. And you even released a clothing line that was featured in Minnesota Fashion Week.
Yes.
Which is amazing. Congratulations.
Shout out, you guys.
So how does fashion and music intersect for you?
Fashion and music intersect, and they're both movement. Like, fashion moves in its own flavor, so to say, and the song can match the flavor of the clothing, and then they just merge in this beautiful, happy Thanksgiving plate. Mm-hmm. Another way to think of it is like, if I can dance to a song, and if my clothing can mimic my movements, it all blends together. It's a weird mixture in here.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, and touching more on the dance side of things, you've been also praised for your aerial arts. And before the show, we were talking about your appearance at Zyniverse, which I believe was your third time performing at Zyniverse. So what was it like to perform for Zyniverse for the third time? And what about this space resonates with you?
The space that Zyna creates overall is such a different universe to be a part of. There's so many different art forms. There's visuals, there's music, there's videos, all of it. The lights she incorporates into her dance. And then to be a part of that space means that I can creatively express myself freely without being over-sexualized. That's a huge thing.
Yeah.
Because aerial arts is borderline pole dance world, and sometimes it's not the most positive aspect, which I'd like to change.
Mm-hmm. Are there any other artists or spaces that the Twin Cities have been doing a really great job fostering that same sense of safety?
Yes. There is a hidden gem in North Minneapolis called the Dream Shop. If you guys know Drunken Monkey, he goes there as well. I think it's like every Tuesday, and they just have a space where you can, poetically share yourself, musically, you can dance, you can play guitar, whatever you want. And it's a really safe, welcoming space. Some spaces are a little like, if you don't know the people there, it's kind of intimidating.
Mm-hmm. And was there anybody in particular that brought you to those spaces? How did you find yourself in, Zyniverse or in that place that you just brought up briefly?
Yeah. I kind of go, so when I first started doing music, and this is a tip for people if you're starting to do music, I just started to go to open mics. Any place that like your friends are going, that you see on Instagram, a DJ and they do, you just kind of feel it out, and then your gut will tell you, this is a good place, this isn't a good place for me. Say the question one more time. I want to elaborate more on that.
Like, how did you first, who brought you to these spaces? How did you find yourself in such a comfortable environment?
My gut brought me to these places.
Yeah.
So your gut's gonna guide you in different types of ways. Zyniverse, I actually ran into Zyna at the Pole Studio. We were just both going there to work on our stuff, and I was like, oh my gosh, I follow you. And she's like, I follow you. Whoa. And it was just a super cool like eureka moment. I kind of am a firm believer in like divine timing. So if you're gonna be in the right places for you to get to those doors for them to open.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And with so many creative outlets at your fingertips, from jewelry making to dance, how do you balance all of this and create music?
Very Very difficultly. Oh my God, I can't talk. Difficultly. It's like juggling. Like you're trying to like juggle all these things, and eventually, if you have too many things to juggle, you can't give equal love to all of them. Like for example, just being honest, I haven't like made any new music in like over a year, just because other things have grasped my attention, and it's kind of hard to balance them. So I don't recommend doing them. But if you can tie them in together, there you go.
Yeah. And not making music for a year, there's going to be so many new voices and new sounds that come up, especially locally. So have there been any local artists that you've really been in awe of and been wanting to also kind of add into your own sound?
Ooh, so many. Summer, for sure, if you guys know who that is. Of course, Zyna's up there. I have a homie of mine, his name's OB, and he does amazing work as well. And just like all the different sounds. Oh my gosh, wait, my mind is blanking. There is a person, he changed his name. He's from Minnesota. I can't remember his name now. Tragic. It's going to come up later and I'm going to be so salty. No, that's the only people I have right now.
Yeah.
Oh, KK the Infamous, for sure.
No, definitely keep a
Those are the
lookout.
homies, yeah.
Especially for Summer. Summer, I've seen in here a couple times and she's done such an amazing job.
She's awesome. And she's such a wholehearted person, too. Like, you meet her, like, in person, you're like, yo, you're so cool.
Yeah, for
Just
sure.
love.
For sure. And now approaching the end of the interview, what impact or messages do you hope listeners take away from your music? And what else can audiences expect to hear soon?
What you can take away from my music is individuality. I want to inspire others to just be their authentic selves without chasing clout, so to say. Maybe I can inspire you to write it down on a piece of paper, write down your thoughts, or maybe go to an open mic, maybe freestyle with your friends. It starts small.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Well, again, thank you so much for joining us today.
Thank you.
Is there anything else you'd like to share with the audience?
No.
All right. Well, thank you again.
Thank you. Peace.